Hello again. I'm here with three more book reviews. This time it will be Bentley Little's The Return, Richard Laymon's Flesh, and another Richard Layman book called Dark Mountain. So let me get into my intro and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let me cover Bentley Little's The Return. Springerville is famous for the legend of the Mongolian monster. Of course, nobody really believes it. It's just a good campfire story, something to attract gullible tourists, until an excavation team unearths the figurine of a screaming woman, the jawbone of a deformed animal, and a child's toy. How odd that they were buried together. Odd, too, is the foul odor lingering in the air, the strange noises at night, and the man's face found hanging from a tree. Now the locals are locking their doors because after sundown, campfire stories can seem very, very real. I'll be honest with you, this was one of the Bentley Littles that I just couldn't get into. I'm not sure how much of it is I couldn't connect with the story as opposed to just not being a good story, because it has all the benchmarks of, okay, here's something that happens, something gets unearthed, a lot of weird crap happens after this stuff gets unearthed. It deals with a skull and a mummy and kind of like this this presence kind of thing that in general it was just something I couldn't get into. I wish I could, but for me, it's one of those books where I just kind of read through, and then it's like, what did I just read type of thing. Maybe I need to spend more time with it. I don't know. But after I read it, I just felt like it's not something I wanted to revisit. Maybe I just am not interested in a mummy kind of trope and that kind of story. The archaeologist, the characters in the story, I wasn't connecting with. And if you know anything about me and the stories I've read, if I can't connect with the characters, which I couldn't in this story, I just don't connect with the story, and I think that's what happened with this one. So, unfortunately, Bentley Little Return is a book that I would return and not read. It's definitely not one of my favorite Bentley Littles at all. It's definitely way down there on the Bentley Little scale. It's not university. It's not something I really really disliked, like ignored. But it's just, again, just not, it doesn't grab me. It's just not a book that for me was interesting enough. Spoiler alert, there's one that's coming after this that I did just finish that I'll cover in another video that actually is pretty good. But I digress. Bentley Little's The Return, I was not interested in. Now, Richard Layman. I've heard a lot of people mention Richard Layman, and I never read anything by Richard Layman. Again, Scribd had a bunch of Richard Layman books out there, and then you see Kindle Unlimited also has both of these Richard Layman books. So I decided I might as well read some. So let me talk about the first one here. Richard Layman's Dark Mountain. Two families have come to the California mountains expecting a fun weekend camping trip. When what they will find instead is terror in the form of a violent psychopath and his mother, a powerful witch. Now, I picked this book honestly because I've been getting into hiking lately. I've actually been watching some videos on through hiking, and I've been doing some hiking, with the summer months and stuff. Just, having some fun with it. And I thought, oh, here's a cool story about basically this family kind of, actually a bunch of families, like a couple of families getting together and going on like an overnight backpacking hiking type of trip. And the first part of this book is kind of like what you would think your typical kind of like wrong turn, back war, deliverance type of story. It seems like that anyway in the first half of the book. And then the second half of the book, when these people actually go back to their normal lives, the second half of the book becomes this really cool, really cool supernatural story. I um, I actually really like the second part way more than the first part. Um, I know Richard Layman obviously has a bunch of books. I think he has something that is more. I think The Woods Are Dark is more of a characters in the woods kind of long turn story. If I'm looking at this correctly, um, so that might be an interesting one to read if I just want to follow that. But that's not what this Dark Mountain is. This Dark Mountain is definitely a supernatural kind of story. It is creepy as hell. I really did enjoy it. I felt like after I read this book, I wanted to read more Richard Layman, and I was glad I did because after I read this Dark Mountain book, the next book I read was Flesh by Richard Layman. This one, no one in town has seen anything like it. A slimy, mobile tube of glistening yellow flesh with dull, staring eyes and an obscene, probing mouth. But the real horror is not what it looks like or what it does when it invades your flesh, but what it makes you do to others. This was like really good. I mean, I thought when I read Dark Mountain, I thought, "Oh, this is good. I really like this. Let me read more Richard Layman." Then I read Flesh, and I was like, "Wow, I really like this. Now I'm gonna really have to read more Richard Layman." These two books have made me a fan of this author, and I am definitely going to understand why the hype is for this author, and I definitely want to look back and see if I could read a lot more from this author because I loved both of these books for different reasons. Again, Dark Mountain because of the supernatural and the witch element, and it was just really cool. It was just it's just cool imagery. Flesh was just a really cool story that again used kind of a supernatural kind of element. There was basically I guess a parasite you could kind of call it that invaded someone and created a guy like a serial killer type of thing. And it was a person who was really not too altogether to begin with, who winds up becoming getting infected by this creature type thing. And it was just really good. I mean, I'm not gonna really spoil it too much to say that if you've never read Richard Layman, I'm sure there are other books here, other people who've read Richard Layman would probably turn me on to, but I do not think you would go wrong with either one of these books. I think again, Flesh is more of kind of a serial killer, creepy kind of almost like an invasion of body snatchers type of story, but it's really more of just this crazy, creepy killer. And Dark Mountain is way more supernatural. So it depends on what you want to read. Like that Flesh is kind of supernatural too, but it depends on like I said, what you would like to read. But I don't think you go wrong with either one of the Richard Layman books. I think they're both really good. Again, and Return is something that I wasn't really that crazy about. If you've stuck through all this, again, thanks again for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Bye.